Happy Monday, guys, and welcome to another weekly reading vlog. I'm out here in the shade with my iced coffee, and I'm actually very cold. And I thought it must be like 60 degrees or something, and so I checked the temperature and it's actually 81 degrees. So I'm just a sad little lizard, cold for no reason. But I made some headway in Ariadne. I didn't read it over the weekend, but I read, I think, 150 pages today. It's a very quick read, even though it's kind of long. I think it's like 400 pages or something, but it's very well written, and so it's very easy to sink into the story and just keep reading. It's very page turning. So liking that very much. I also started yesterday The Idiot by Elif Batuman, and I'm not loving it. It feels a little disjointed. I'm only, let's see, 34% of the way in. I'm only on the second part, so there's time to knit it all together. I put down She Who Became the Sun over the weekend so I could focus on The Idiot because the library book is due soon, so I need to get on that. And then I also started The Tower of the Swallows, and I'm liking it. I'm a quarter of the way in. Great, doing well. And did I start something else? No, I didn't. I'm just made it up. So I'm gonna continue reading this. Hopefully we'll get to the end of part 2, and hopefully by then I will like it more. Good morning. It's Thursday, and I have sprints with Ashley in a bit, but I wanted to update you on The Idiot. I continued reading it Tuesday and then yesterday, and I finished it last night. So I really wish that I liked this book more than I did, because it's very clever, it's very well written, it's very funny, and there are a lot of things about it that are relatable. I didn't feel like I related to any of the characters, or like I had a hard time connecting with them. So there were like parts of the story that resonated with me, but overall it didn't really. And the main character for the second half of this book is traveling, and she's meeting a lot of new people. And just reading about that stressed me out so much because I'm just such an introvert. I'm like, I don't want to talk to new people ever. I want to stay inside and talk to the 5 people I like most. The end. And so I just had like secondhand stress from that, even though she took it all in stride. And also reminded me a lot of I Love Dick by Chris Kraus. And like the main difference between these is that I Love Dick is a memoir, a nonfiction book, and then The Idiot is a fiction book. But it sort of follows the same rough pattern of like the main person in this narrative being like smart and intelligent and funny and you know, a good person, seeing the best in people, and she becomes infatuated with this trash man that treats her terribly. And it was just a bit like hard to watch, even though like how many 19-year-old young women develop an infatuation with trash men. Quite a lot. That's like a relatable experience. And so I also like didn't really enjoy reading about that because Ivan is the worst and I don't like him. What I did really enjoy about this was all the allusions to Russian literature. The main character Sedin's first like academic year at Harvard, she takes a Russian class, which is where she meets her friend Svetlana and this trash man Ivan. So it really fit well together, and there's a lot about like language and linguistics as well, which I thought was really, really interesting and very clever, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. So with all these allusions to Russian literature, none of them talk about the book The Idiot. It's never mentioned, and yet this book is called The Idiot, and it's a very clear, like, it's a very clear link to the original The Idiot book. I forgot who wrote it. Need to look it up. Dostoevsky wrote this. I haven't read it. I think the only Russian literature book I've ever read is The Master and Margarita, but I've read it twice, so it counts double. Math. And so yeah, I thought that was interesting, kind of weird. Another thing about the linguistic talk in this book is that Sen, the main character, learns about how humans are naturally predisposed to have language and therefore have grammar. And that's a very like Noam Chomsky philosophy of language. And she talks about learning about how like children understand grammar very well, and then sort of like in the same sentence, like children and Black people have like deep understandings of grammar and use grammar correctly. And it's very clear that the intent behind this is to push back against the notion that people who speak AAVE or African American Vernacular English, or sometimes just known as African American English, is like bad English. But I don't like the way it was phrased because it kind of like lumped children and Black people together, and like this is not one category, right? And so I think that could have been, I don't know, handled better. And it's clear that like the main character is learning this in her linguistics class, and so I mean I'm curious to see what you think. Like it just rubbed me the wrong way a bit. Speaking of language, there are 2 episodes of You're Wrong About that talk about language in particular. One is like Coco the gorilla, and it's about like trying to get Coco and other apes to use sign language and how it like has worked or hasn't worked, etc. And then the other one is the Ebonics controversy, and Ebonics is what AAVE used to be called. The hosts of that podcast, I think, who researched that? Michael Hobbs researched that one, and he talks to Black linguists and language researchers, and it's very interesting, and I will find the links and I will put them in the description box, and I highly recommend that you listen to those episodes, and also just You're Wrong About in general, because it's great. So moving on from that, I'm almost done with Ariadne. I don't want it to be over. I am I am loving it. There are things about it that are just absolutely delightful, and there are things that are so painful, but it's so well written. The characterizations are great. I don't want to let these characters go. Like, Ariadne is precious, and her sister Phaedra must be protected at all costs. I wish I could wrap them up in bubble wrap and never let them around any sharp corners, but that's not the way Greek myths go. So for this one, I know like the vague Theseus and the Minotaur story, but I don't know a whole lot about what happens after sort of the meat of the Minotaur story. And so I've been really enjoying this ride, and I think even if I did, I would still enjoy it because the writing and the dialogue is just so excellent, and it really gives the characters depth. I got to the end of part 3, there's 4 parts, last night, and I could have finished it, but I just don't want it to be over. So I'm definitely finishing this today because, as you can see, I'm almost done. I have about 30 pages left. So I'm preparing to be emotionally destroyed by this book. Well, I was right. This had an emotional ending. I'm not over it. Oh. I just want everyone to have a warm blanket and a cup of hot cocoa and be happy forever. But that's not the way this turns out. I've got to move on to something happier. That was so sad. Happy Saturday, guys. It is the evening. I got really busy yesterday and basically didn't read until I went to bed. And so I listened to some more of Tower of Swallows. I'm liking it. There's action and storytelling, missing persons, mystery, everything you could want, essentially. I also continued reading She Who Became the Sun. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it now, and I'm also really liking it. I'm finding that the more I read, the better it gets. Like, the stakes become higher, and the story is just very meaty, and there's, you know, like lifelong nemesis and battles and espionage, and it's great. I'm loving it. It's a bit gruesome, so just a warning if you want to read it. It's not like there's not a lot of focus on the gruesome aspects of it. It doesn't feel really gross. It doesn't feel like there's a gross focus on like other people's pain, but it is in there. I mean, it is a early medieval power struggle war narrative, so I guess that is not a surprise. Oh, I did start Tall Tales Secret Book Club last night. It's very short, so I got halfway through it. It's the one where this housekeeper takes a summer job at this estate. Someone dies mysteriously. The other people that work in this house have formed a secret book club, and there's also a secret cat named Hank. He's ginger and very sassy. We love it. So, I mean, the first like red flag that this woman is facing when she goes to work for this house is that the owner of the house like hates books, and she won't let anyone have a book in the house. And like there was a library which is now empty because she burned all the books. Like, that's a red flag. Do not work somewhere where they're like, I hate books, I can't stand to see one. No, leave. So I am hoping to finish that this weekend. I'm also hoping to finish You Became the Sun this weekend. And then I can review it, and then I can move on. But I do have other exciting news. One is that I got a haircut today. It's the first time I've gotten my haircut since March 2020. So exciting. And I mean, I did in January of this year cut my hair myself. So that was very stressful. I wouldn't recommend it, and I do not wish to repeat that experience. So I let a professional deal with it. She fixed all the wonky bits in the back. And the other bit of exciting news is that I was digging around and I found my old Tamagotchi. Unfortunately, out of battery right now. But I also found my Game Boy Advance, which is rechargeable. So I charged it, and I played my Barbie spy game, which is just as fun as I remember it. So I am going to end this vlog here. I will see you next week. Like this video, subscribe for more content, and you can also follow me on social media. All the links will be in the description box below. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.